So, would drug use, your drug of choice, be still a part of your everyday life?
Well, yeah, because it makes me a better parent. Like, I'm more in tune to my kids. I'm fun. I like to play with them, and it's better all the way around. I don't know how to be not on drugs. Like, have always been a part of my life. Like, I like them. I like the way they make me feel.
When did you start using drugs?
When I was 12.
You were 12. Okay. Okay, was there ever been a time when you didn't use drugs?
Yeah, with my first son, I didn't use drugs. I quit, and I was sober the whole pregnancy. He was born clean.
You did. Okay. And then, why did you start back up again?
Because life was boring without them. I wasn't the life of the party. I was like stressed out. I wanted to play. I was young. I was really young when I had my son. I was only 17.
Okay. So, let me see if I have this right again. You feel that you need the drugs to be able to be a good parent,
Yeah.
and that if we go through this process, or you go through this process, you're going to, you still feel that you'll need drugs as a normal part of your life.
Yeah, I don't know how to be normal without them. And I don't think that I will be a good parent without them because, like I said, when I'm doing the drugs, when I'm on the drugs, like, I'm a much more fun parent. Like, I'm more lively and awake, and I'm not depressed, and we go out and do things like we go to the park and play, and I don't do that when I'm not doing the drugs.
So, do you remember back when you were clean at 17 when you had your son? And now you feel that you need to have the drugs now in order to be okay?
Yeah, because my son was a year old when I started back on them again because my mom was always watching me. She was always telling me that I was a drug addict. I'll always be a drug addict. Like, that's who I am, and I can't be anything else and things like that. So so I figure, well, if she's gonna constantly tell me that that's what I am and that's what I need to be, then that's what I'm gonna do.
So it sounds to me like in your life you've got some labeling where people have identified you as the drug user, and that's who you are, and you're fulfilling that label.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some pretty backwards thinking. Do you ever think of quitting at all, or you're okay with?
Well, I think about quitting every now and then, but I don't know. It's not my thing. I guess I can't see myself without them, and like I said, it makes me a better mom. So why would I quit if it makes me a better mom?
Well, do you know that drugs affect the brain? That they change the way you are. So you have to have the drugs to feel. The drugs actually hijack your pleasure pathways, so you're not able to feel like joy from your son or your kids when you do something fun, and actually you're not able to engage with that.
But I am engaging. I'm laughing with them, so I don't understand that.
Well, I have some literature online we can go through and read and go through the different steps, but it does hijack your pathways. It also affects the memories that you're building with yourself and your children, and your causing harm and damage to your brain and your body. So there is that, but we can go through that online, and I can get you some information. But you know that you have to stop to get your kids back. Have you started with some harm reduction? Started decreasing your use? Any?
Yeah, I'm not using every day now.
Well, if you understood, or if you knew how bad the drugs were, would you consider stopping?
Yeah, especially if it means getting my kids back.
Getting kids back. Well, my concern is that you're going to do it to get your kids back and then go back, which you know that you said that you stopped when you had your son, and then you went back because you felt you had to, and that you're you're going to be a druggie. Has anyone ever told you that relapse is a normal part of addiction?
No.
But it's a very common part of the disease. It is quite normal that people relapse. Very rare that people don't relapse. So you are there. When you use, what is it like going on? What is your life like going on? What's going on when you feel that you have to use to make it through with your kids?
I'm sad. I'm depressed. I don't want to get out of bed. I think about like the fact that I don't have a good relationship with my mom, and I think about that I have all these kids and none of the dads are around. Like nobody wanted to stick around after I got pregnant and things like that. So I have to do everything by myself. I'm a single parent, and so it helps pick me up because when I get really sad like that, I don't want to get out of bed and do anything, and my kids really suffer.
Okay, how many kids do you have? You mentioned it earlier, but I don't.
I have 4.
4. Okay, 4. And how old's your oldest?
My oldest is 10.
10. And your youngest was just born?
Yes.
So I'm noticing some things, and I don't know if you've noticed this. You have some pretty good strength. You've made it. You started at age 17 being a parent, and now you're 27. And this is the first time that drugs have gotten so bad in your life that you've needed someone to step in and help. To be able to survive this long, or to be a parent this long, I think you're able to do it more than you think. You've got some good parenting skills there and some strengths. We just need to build on those and see what we can do. And I see that you have some world change views that are a little bit, some world views are a little bit backwards. That drugs are a normal part.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to be a normal part. We can deal with some of the issues that are causing you the pain and get some help and see what we can do to change it. So you can get your kids back, so you're in a better place, so you can enjoy being with your kids and find joy and happiness with your kids and not with drugs, because that's what's bringing you the drugs, because like I said earlier, they're hijacking the pleasure parts of your brain, and that's where you're feeling the happiness. It's not from your kids, it's from the drugs. So it's going to take a little bit. And I also heard you say that your mom said you're a druggie, and that you're a drug user and you're always going to be a drug user. But the drug use isn't you. It's the drug use is a problem. That's the problem. You're not the problem. It's the drugs are the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And you said you started with your problem when you were 12. So you've had this problem for 15 years now.
Mm-hmm.
You've been letting this problem rule your life. So if the problem were sitting here with you, what would you like to say to your problem? If drugs were sitting here in front of you, what would you say to your problem?
I guess for it to go away, I would wish I never would have started.
So there's a little hope there. You could see your life without drugs.
I think so. I don't want to forever need something to pick me up and make me happy.
That's good. That's good news to hear. What kind of goals would you like besides getting your kids back? What else do you have?
To get into a treatment program. I've always been able to quit the drugs. Like when I was pregnant, I quit by myself. I didn't need any help, but now I think I do. So I want to get into a drug treatment program, and I need stable housing, and I need stable food in order to attain, be able to reach getting my kids back.
Okay. Those sound like some pretty good goals, to have. I would say short term would be to get you in some treatment and to get this, right now you can do harm reduction, like you said, you started while you're waiting to get into treatment. And then get you some housing when you're done and some food. What about some long-term goals? Have you ever had you want to be a good mom. I hear that, and that's really good, that you want to be a good mom. Do you have any long-term goals that you want for you?
Maybe to go to school.
Go to school? What would you like to be if you went to school, or when you go to school?
A pediatric nurse, because I love kids.
some homework and you can work on, and then we'll come back. Is it all right if you come back for a couple more sessions and we work on these things? Does it seem like something you could tackle?
Yeah.
Okay. When I hear you, when you're going throughout your week next week, this coming week, I want you to keep a little notepad with you. And when you hear yourself saying these negative things to yourself, like, I'm always going to be a druggie, because that's not true. It's your choice.
Mm-hmm.
You can choose to carry your problem with you forever. You can choose to leave your problem behind and move on and be the kind of person you want to be. So when you start hearing yourself saying the negative things, jot it down. And then, if you have any thoughts such as, I'm always going to be a druggie, or I'm no good, or I'm a bad mom, just write those down, and then we'll address them when you come in next week and work on how to reframe them. And then I want to ask you, you said earlier that drugs would always be a part of your life, that you're a good mom with drugs. So on a scale of 1 to 10 with that thought, where do you think you would fit? I'm always going to use drugs, I'm a good mom with drugs. As far as quitting drugs, where would you be?
As being able to quit?
Wanting to quit, yeah.
Probably right now, I don't know, maybe only a 3 right now.
3. And then after we've had this discussion about the damage that it does to your brain, and that, you can be a good parent without the drugs, you don't need it, and the different talks, where would you be in cutting down, and scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the yes, I'm ready to quit, 1 being I'm not ready to quit?
Maybe like a 4 or 5.
4 or 5. So what?
I'm still getting used to it. I just don't know.
So what made you want it to go up to the 4 or 5?
Because I don't want to hurt myself, and I don't want to hurt my kids. And you're saying that it's hurting me, and in a way that hurts my kids. So
yeah, it really does, because your kids need to have you around. They really do, and you're setting an example for them. You said you have a family history. Did your parents use drugs at all?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so you've had a lot of examples.
My parents have used drugs. All my brothers and sisters, my aunt, my uncle, everybody did.
So it sounds like you have a strong line of addiction in your family. Yeah, well, that sounds good. Looks like we have a lot of good things to work on.